Chapter 29-20. You're here. Have you settled the matters regarding the mansion? Fengjiu asked as he glanced at the two of them. With one glance, he knew that Mu Axian had taken the elixir and crossed the threshold. Master, I'm here to report that after taking the elixir, it's really miraculous. Mu Axian said joyfully and respectfully. Yes, I can see that. Fengjiu nodded. Master, the disciples we sent to Sifang City have returned. They said that the mansions prepared for you two have been arranged. This is the title deed. CK took out a box from her sleeve and handed it over. Hearing this, Fengjiu opened it and glanced at it. He said, since that's the case, let's go down the mountain today. The people in the space were still unconscious. It was time to wake them up. I'll send you off, Master. The two of them said in unison. There's no need. The address is on the title deed. We can go there ourselves. She waved her hand and turned to walk inside. Seeing that Xianyuan Mose was cultivating in the cave, she packed up her things and thought that she would call him later. Unexpectedly, he came out after a while. Did they send the title deed? Xianyuan Mose asked. Yes, they said that they've chosen a mansion. I think it's about time to leave. Fengjiu said, but I still have to tell my sister. They're quite fast. Xianyuan Mose said, since that's the case, I'll go with you to say goodbye. Okay. She responded. The two of them had only taken out some small things, so there wasn't much to pack. They simply put some things into the space. The two of them left the cave. The people outside were still waiting. Seeing them come out, two disciples in green asked, Grandmaster, are you going down the mountain? Will you come back in the future? Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. He looked at the two and said, yes, I'm going down the mountain. As for whether I'll come back in the future, that's hard to say. Her gaze swept across the two disciples. Seeing that they were only at the peak of the foundation establishment stage, she took out 2 bottles and gave one to each of them. These 2 bottles each contain a medicinal pill. It can help you break through to the peak of the foundation establishment stage. The two of them looked at her in surprise and immediately knelt down to thank her. Thank you, Grandmaster. Thank you, Grandmaster. Seeing this, CK and Mu Axian said to Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu, we will keep this cave residence for you. If you have nothing to do, you can come back and stay for a few days. Are they leaving? Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu looked over at the same time. They saw Wanyan Qianhua riding a red-crowned crane towards them. When the red-crowned crane landed, she walked over as well. Sister, we were just about to go and say goodbye to you. Fengjiu said. He walked up to her and held her hand. He smiled and said, I didn't expect you to come over. Did you know that we were leaving today? How would I know that you were leaving today? I received a mission and had to go out, so I came over to say goodbye to you. I didn't expect you to leave today. Wanyan Qianhua said. Looking at the two of them, she asked, is the residence ready? Yes, it's ready. You can move in once you get there. Fengjiu said. Chapter 29-21. Sister, is your mission dangerous? Fengjiu asked. That won't happen. I can handle it. Wanyan Qianhua looked at CK and Mu Axian with a smile. Supremacies, are you going to send them off too? Looking at Wanyan Qianhua, the two of them smiled and replied, of course. Since the masters are leaving, as disciples, we naturally have to send them off. Seeing that everyone was here, Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu asked them to send them off at the Immortal Sect's gate before letting them go back. When the Immortal Sect's immortal masters heard that they were leaving, they stood on the main peak and watched from afar. Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu walked down the mountain. When they reached a place where there was no one around, they scanned the surroundings with their divine senses. After confirming that there was no one around, Xianyuanmo said, "You can wake them up here." "Okay," Fengjiu replied. With a wave of his sleeve, Leng Hua and the others appeared in front of them. Fengjiu bent down and picked up little Hao. After unsealing his acupuncture points, he carried him to Xianyuanmo's. Then, he took out some medicine and brushed it under their noses. Not long after, they all woke up. "Master! Master!" The people lying on the ground saw the lush leaves above their heads and couldn't help but be startled. They quickly stood up and looked around. "Master, where are we?" "This continent is called the Star Continent. It's also called the Upper Realm by the people from the Lower Realm. This is the territory of the Blue Star Immortal Sect, one of the 4 major immortal sects. The place we're going to now is Four Corner City. It's located in the southeast of the Blue Star Immortal Sect," Fengjiu said as his smiling eyes swept across everyone. "Four Corner City." Hui Lang was startled. "There's a Four Corner City here too." "Yes, this Four Corner City isn't the same Four Corner City. Naturally, it's different from where we were originally," Fengjiu said, then said to everyone, "All right, you guys have slept for a few days. Let's slowly move your muscles and bones. The residences in the city have already been prepared and are just waiting for us to move in." Hearing this, everyone could not help but be slightly startled. The mansion was already prepared. How could he be so fast? Who prepared it? A series of questions popped up in their minds, but no one asked. What they should know would be known sooner or later, and what they shouldn't know was not something they could ask. "Leng Hua, this is the title deed. Keep it." Fengjiu handed the title deed to Leng Hua. "Yes." Leng Hua took it and opened it. Seeing that it was indeed a deed for a mansion, he looked at the location of the mansion and put it away. The dozen or so people stretched their muscles and bones, and after circulating their spiritual power throughout their bodies, they continued their journey to Four Corner City. At noon, they arrived outside Four Corner City. When they saw the words on the city gate, they couldn't help but feel excited. Was this the place where they would stay and cultivate in the future? Their gazes involuntarily turned towards the city. Looking into the distance, they saw a bustling scene. The group walked in. After entering the city gate, Leng Hua said, "Master, there's a tea house up ahead. You guys should rest and have a cup of tea first. Du Fan and I will go and find the location of the mansion first." "All right." Fengjiu nodded and said, "Be careful. If you encounter any trouble, try not to fight with others. Also, Guemo and Luoyu, you two go as well." "Yes." The 4 of them responded and walked forward. Chapter 29-22. Leng Hua and the others asked around about the distribution of places in the city. When they found out that their mansion was located in the most expensive and difficult to obtain place in the city, they couldn't help but feel a little surprised. "That's strange. Master just arrived here. How did he manage to buy a mansion in such a good location?" According to those people, every inch of land here is worth an inch of gold. Even if you have money, you might not be able to buy a mansion here. As Luo Yu spoke, he walked into a less populated alley and looked left and right. He saw that this place was surrounded by mansions. However, there was a distance of about 10 meters between each mansion. Each mansion was independent and luxurious. Moreover, there were 2 guards standing at the entrance of each mansion. When the guards saw them, they all stared at them and sized them up. Their gazes seemed to be saying, "How did these people come to such a place? The people who live here should be part of the forces in the city. Master really knows how to find a place. He actually found a place like this." Du Fan waved his fan and smiled. "Actually, this is also good. Ordinary people won't come here. It can save us a lot of trouble." Leng Hua smiled warmly. "This place shouldn't be chosen by Master. If Master had chosen it himself, he would have chosen a quiet and inconspicuous place for his mansion. However, it is undeniable that this place, whether it is the surroundings or the mansion, looks very exquisite and luxurious. I think it will be very comfortable to live here. Yes, this place should be good for cultivation. When the time comes, we can set up a spirit gathering formation and cultivate here. Du Fan said. Hearing their words, Guillermo glanced at the guards and said, I think that before Master moves in, the people on both sides of the street will know that there are new residents here. I reckon that there will be people coming to find out later. What's so difficult about that? In a moment, Leng Hua and I will bring Master and the others over. You and Du Fan can stay at the mansion and set up a boundary around it. Luo Yu smiled and said. He looked at Leng Hua and asked, how long until we arrive? It should be up ahead. As Leng Hua spoke, he glanced at the room numbers in front of the door. They walked forward for a while until their gazes landed on the door with 2 stone lions. It can't be here, right? Luo Yu asked as he touched the 2 stone lions. He frowned and said, these 2 stone lions are really crude. Leng Hua checked the room number and nodded. This is the place. It's not bad. The door is locked. Is there a key? Du Fan looked at it and used his fan to lift the lock. It's actually a black iron lock. Leng Hua took out the box containing the title deed, took out the key from under the title deed, and walked forward to open the door. After pushing the door open and entering, even though he had seen many good places, his eyes couldn't help but light up. It doesn't look very eye-catching from the outside, but there's something else inside. Even the house we used to live in didn't seem to be as big and exquisite as this. TSK, I really don't know how much Master spent to buy this house. Luo Yu rubbed his chin and said. After entering, he looked around and then walked around the backyard. Seeing the countless courtyards, he couldn't help but be speechless. Isn't this place too big? Can the few of us live here? Has Master Feng arrived? Chapter 29-23. They saw a middle-aged man standing outside the door with an old man. The old man was peering inside but didn't dare to enter. The middle-aged man stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking nervous. At a glance, they could tell that the old man was the servant and the middle-aged man was the master. However, they didn't know them. How did they know to come here to find young Master Feng? Could it be that he knew Master? Thus, Du Fan and the others stepped forward. When they arrived at the entrance, they signaled Leng Hua with the corners of their eyes and stood to the side. Leng Hua stepped forward and asked gently, May I know who you're looking for? The old man looked at the gentle young man in front of him and was slightly startled. He turned to look at his master and asked, Little brother, has young Master Feng arrived? We're from the city's Shao family. This is our family head. We were originally ordered by our family's ancestor to find this residence for young Master Feng. Now that we heard that the residence's door was open, we wanted to pay a visit. Hearing this, Leng Hua smiled warmly, I see. He looked at the 2 and said, My master hasn't arrived yet. He only ordered us to take a look at the residence first. Oh, so young Master Feng hasn't arrived yet. The old man said, then asked with a smile, May I know your name? Leng Hua had a gentle smile on his face. It was like a spring breeze. His entire aura was gentle and refined. No one dared to look down on him. He looked at the old man and said, My surname is Leng. I'm the residence's steward. Hearing this, the old man was slightly surprised. He hurriedly cupped his hands and bowed. So young Master Leng is the steward. My apologies. To be able to become a steward at such a young age, he must be extraordinary. Steward Leng, when will young Master Feng arrive? The middle-aged man asked. That's hard to say. It depends on Master's arrangements. Leng Hua said gently. Hearing this, the middle-aged man said, "Since that's the case, we'll head back first. Here are some humble gifts, I hope Steward Lang can accept them on my behalf." As he gestured, the steward took out a gift from his cosmos sack and handed it over. Lang Hua smiled. "Okay, I'll tell Master that the Shao family's head sent them." Hearing this, the middle-aged man smiled. He cupped his hands and bowed before leaving with the old man. The door closed and they walked in. Du Fan said, "So it was the Shao family who found the house. But who is their ancestor? Just go back and tell Master about it. Let's split up according to what we said earlier." Lang Hua looked at them and said, "Du Fan and Gu Mo, stay behind. First, set up a simple array around the area. We'll go find Master and bring them over." "All right." The few of them responded and split up to carry out their tasks. On the other side, the middle-aged man got into the carriage. The old man sat outside and signaled the coachman to go back. He asked, "Family head, what is the background of that young Master Feng? Why would our ancestor ask us to find such a house for him?" The disciple sent by our ancestor didn't explain in detail. "I've already sent people to find out. If nothing unexpected happens, we'll know soon." The middle-aged man leaned back and said, "But one thing is certain. This young Master Feng is not simple. Look at those 4 people. Their strength isn't outstanding, but they're not weak either. Moreover, each of them has an extraordinary bearing. They're comparable to the young masters of large families. This young Master Feng is probably even more outstanding." Chapter 29-24. "I'm afraid we won't be able to see them even if we come." The middle-aged man sighed softly. "Since we can't see them today, we'll have to wait and see if there's a chance in the future." The carriage left the alley. Not long after, Lang Hua and Luo Yu walked out of the alley, preparing to bring Fengjiu and the others back to the residence. At this time, Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu were drinking tea in the tea house, chatting as they looked at the bustling streets outside. Fengjiu said, "Later, get someone to build a carriage that can be pulled by the purple gold spirit deer. It's best if it's bigger and more complete. Leave it to Hui Lang." Xianyuan Mo said, glancing at Hui Lang. Hui Lang heard their words and hurried forward. "Yes, Master and Ghost Doctor, don't worry. Just leave it to me. After you've settled down, you should all familiarize yourselves with Xifang City. In the future, we'll be living and cultivating here." Fengjiu took a sip of tea and said, "After a while, you can also arrange for us to go out and train to improve our fighting abilities." "Yes." The others responded, watching the two chatting there. Lang Hua carried Hao and looked at the streets outside. Not long after, they saw Lang Hua and Luo Yu walking over. "Master, Lang Hua is back." Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mose looked down and saw Lang Hua walking over quickly. They thought that it hadn't been long since they went to scout. It seemed that the residence wasn't very far from here, so it should be easy to walk around. Not long after, Lang Hua came up to the 2nd floor. "Master, Yama God." Lang Hua bowed respectfully and said, "Master, I've found the residence. It's more luxurious and exquisite than the one we used to live in. Moreover, the residence is located in a prime location in the city. It's quieter there, and there aren't many people walking around." As Lang Hua spoke, he paused for a moment before continuing. "According to what we know, it can be said that most of the forces in the city live in that area. Moreover, just now, the Tan family's patriarch personally came to deliver some gifts, but he left without seeing Master. According to them, they helped us find the house, and they take orders from their old ancestor." Fengjiu was startled. "Ancestor?" Her expression was strange as she looked at Xianyuan Mose. "Do you think the ancestor they're talking about is CK? It should be him. Didn't he say it before? There are people from his family in Xifang City." Xianyuanmo said unhurriedly. That's true. CK is several hundred years old, but he always looks like a middle-aged man. That's why I always thought he was 40 or 50 years old. She chuckled and shook her head. We've really gained 2 senior disciples out of nowhere. They've really saved us a lot of trouble. Since we found the residence, let's go back and take a look. When the time comes, we'll see if the manor needs anything else. Xianyuanmo said. Master, Lord Yen, because there's still some distance to go, I ask Luoyu to buy a carriage on the way here. You can sit for a while, he should be here soon. Leng Hua said as he looked down at the street. Chapter 29-25. Fengjiu smiled. That's good too. Prepare an ordinary carriage. I'll also have Hui Lang order a sturdier one for flying in the future. Flying? Leng Hua was startled and asked, Master wants to use a flying beast to pull the carriage. They didn't seem to have any flying beasts to pull the carriage. Yes, I have 2 purple gold spirit deer. I'm going to use them to pull the carriage. The purple gold spirit deer can gallop in the air. It's extremely fast and powerful. It's perfect. Fengjiu smiled. Thinking of the 2 purple gold spirit deer in the space, his smile deepened. Master, Luoyu is here. Leng Hua looked at the carriage parked below and said to Fengjiu. Then let's go. Fengjiu looked at Xianyuanmo's. Xianyuanmo stood up and reached out to take her hand. Then he led her downstairs. Master, Yama God. Luoyu called out. He got off the carriage and lifted the curtain to let them in. The 2 got on the carriage and took Hao from Ling Shuang's hands. Then they went to the house. Luoyu drove the carriage. Ling Shuang and Bai Qingqing sat on the left and right sides. Leng Hua and Hui Lang followed on the left and right sides of the carriage. The group of people were dressed in extraordinary clothes and had outstanding appearances. Even if they were in a hurry, they still attracted a lot of attention. As they walked towards the mansion, they saw many luxurious mansions on both sides of the alley. Furthermore, there were very few other people in the alley. This place can be said to be isolated from the rest of the city. It belongs to the wealthy district of the city. It's really quiet and secluded. Fengjiu said and lowered the curtain. CK ordered people to find a house. It shouldn't be bad. As Xianyuanmo spoke, he teased Hao in his arms and said, What family do you think Hao is from? Hearing this, Fengjiu looked at Hao who was blinking and listening to them in his arms. He smiled and said, Definitely not ordinary. The 2 of them chatted in the carriage and felt that the journey was not far. When the carriage stopped, they knew that they had arrived at the entrance of the residence. Master, we're here. Luoyu said as he lifted the curtain. Ling Shuang stepped forward and took the child from Xianyuanmo's arms. The 2 alighted from the carriage and sized up the mansion before them. Xianyuanmo's gaze landed on the 2 stone lions in front of the door. He said, These 2 stone lions, it would be better if they were alive. Hearing this, Fengjiu couldn't help but laugh. Change 2 dire beasts here. Only you can think of something like that. Luoyu laughed loudly. Yama Lord, I also think that these stone lions are very tacky. If we could really have 2 live lions here, that would be impressive. When we have time, we can go to the city and bring back 2 lions to guard the gate. That would be excellent. Xianyuanmo looked at Fengjiu and said. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. Sure. Let's go to the city tomorrow to take a look. Xianyuanmo's lips curved into a smile. Then, he held her hand and led her inside. Once inside, Hui Lang and the others couldn't help but praise, this mansion is really big and luxurious. Go and see for yourselves. Find a place to stay. Fengjiu gestured for them to choose their own courtyard. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Ghost Doctor. They responded and looked at each other with smiles. Then, they walked inside separately. You two go too, she said to Ling Shuang and Bai Qingqing. Chapter 29-26. Master, we just went to the back of the mountain and found that the back of the mountain is also very big, so we set up some arrays in the back of the mountain. As for the surroundings of the residence, we haven't had time to set them up yet, Du Fan said. I'll go take a look later. There's no hurry. As she spoke, she slowly walked around the residence with Xianyuan Mose. After familiarizing themselves with the place, the two of them came to the main courtyard. When they opened the door, they saw that the inside was also very clean, without a speck of dust. She couldn't help but smile and say, "It seems that before we moved in, there were people who cleaned up. But the residence is so big, just the few of us are still not enough. We have to buy some more servants. Take it slow. We're not only staying here for a day or two. We have plenty of time." As Xianyuan Mose spoke, he glanced at the courtyard and said, "I'll go to the back of the mountain to take a look and set up the array while I'm at it. You should rest first." "No need, I'll go with you." As Fingzhou spoke, he held his hand and went to the back of the mountain together. At the same time, he instructed Du Fan to help set up a barrier outside the residence. He was busy all the way until evening. Bai Qingqing began to arrange dinner for everyone, while Guemo was in charge of boiling water for everyone to bathe. Although they had just moved into the new residence today, they were all exhausted from the work. The next morning, Fingzhou, who had changed into women's clothing, accompanied Xianyuan Mose out. Other than Guemo who drove the carriage and Ning Yi who followed in the dark like a shadow, only Lang Hua and Wei Feng were by their side. The others stayed in the residence. Only Hui Lang went out to arrange for the carriage. "Master, the slave market is in front. Our carriage can't go in, so we can only stop outside." Lang Hua's voice rang out from outside the carriage window. In the carriage, Fingzhou heard this and said, "Then let's stop here." The carriage stopped. Fingzhou looked at Xianyuan Mose and asked, "Why don't you wait for me in the carriage? I'll come out after I pick someone." "That works too." As Xianyuan Mose spoke, she didn't get off the carriage. Instead, she let Lang Hua and Wei Feng go in with her. He and Guemo stayed in the carriage to wait for them to come out. As soon as the beautiful Fingzhou in red entered the slave market, she attracted the attention of the people inside. In front of an iron cage with a slave, a man in his 30s was talking to a middle-aged man next to him with his hands behind his back. When he caught a glimpse of Fingzhou coming in from the corner of his eyes, a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. He turned around and sized up Fingzhou. Then, he walked forward and asked, "Miss, do you want to choose a slave?" Fingzhou glanced at him. "That's right. Hee, my surname is Tan, and I'm the owner of this place. What kind of slave does Miss want?" "I can do it for you," the man said with a smile. His tone was filled with confidence. "Female slaves between the ages of 14 and 20. It's best if they have some cultivation." As Fingzhou spoke, her clear eyes indifferently looked around and sized up the slaves in the iron cages. "Miss, you've come at the right time. A batch just arrived yesterday. I'll bring Miss over to take a look," he said with a deep smile and made an inviting gesture. Fingzhou nodded slightly and followed him forward. When they arrived at a wider area, he waved his hand and someone brought out 50 young girls chained up. Chapter 29-27. Fingzhou's gaze swept over the 50 female slaves. After asking a few questions as usual, she picked out a few people and asked them again. About half an hour later, she picked out 12 people from the 50. 12 then. She looked towards Lang Hua, "Pay according to 100 gold coins for one. Remember to take the contracts." "Yes." Lang Hua responded. He looked towards the steward and had him take him to pay the bill. When the steward heard this, he glanced at his master. When he saw him wave his hand, he took Lang Hua and left. Miss doesn't want to owe this Tan a favor. The man laughed in a low voice. He looked at her and asked, after talking for so long, how should I address you? I've already bought this person. There's nothing else I want at the moment. Goodbye, young Master Tan. Fengjiu said and nodded slightly. She didn't look at him and turned to leave. Seeing this, the man smiled and didn't stop her. He only looked at her departing figure for a long time before ordering, "Go, investigate her origins." Yes. There was clearly no one around, but someone responded. Fengjiu returned to the carriage and said to Xianyuanmos, "I bought 12. 4 in the kitchen and 8 in the courtyard. I think it should be enough. And, the people you pick usually don't go wrong." Xianyuanmos pulled her to sit down and poured a cup of tea for her on the small table in the carriage. "Let's go and see what level the elixirs in this city are," Fengjiu said. She took a sip of tea and put it down. Then, she picked up a piece of cake and ate it. "Okay," Xianyuanmos responded. The two sat in the carriage for a while before they heard Lang Hua's voice. "Master, I've brought the people and obtained the contracts. Should we bring them back first? Have Wei Feng bring them back to the residence. Tell Qingqing to prepare uniform-made outfits for them. Let Lang Shuang instruct them before making arrangements." Fengjiu instructed from inside the carriage. Yes. Wei Feng brought the 12 young women back first, whereas Fengjiu and the others left the slave market right after that and headed towards other places. On the street, there seemed to be a fight. There were many people in front of the carriage, and the carriage couldn't pass. So, Luoyu stopped the carriage on the side and said to the two people in the carriage, "Master, Yama Lord, there seems to be a fight in front. The carriage can't pass. Can't we take a detour?" Xianyuanmos asked. "The biggest pill shop in the city is right in front of this street, and this is the only way." Luoyu, who had already scouted the area, said. "If that's the case, then let's wait." Xianyuanmos said and wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he drank tea and ate pastries with Fengjiu in the carriage. When they smelled the fragrance coming from outside, Fengjiu lifted the curtain and looked outside. Then, he said to Lang Hua, "I seem to smell the fragrance of chestnuts. See where they're sold and buy some back." "Okay." Lang Hua responded and looked around. He saw an old man selling chestnuts in the corner and walked over to buy some. He sent it to Fengjiu in the carriage. Chapter 29-28. Luoyu and Lang Hua's expressions changed when they saw the sword chi slashing towards them. They immediately drew their swords and sent out 2 sword chis, cutting the sword chi in half. Swish swish. 2 streams of air shot out and struck the incoming sword chi. However, at the same time that the sword chi was neutralized, a small and sharp stream of air still sliced through their carriage, leaving a mark on it. Luoyu and Lang Hua stared coldly at the people in front of them as they watched the tiny stream of chi pass through the carriage and leave a mark. At this moment, Fengjiu lifted the curtain of the carriage. Xianyuanmos' expression darkened slightly as he stared ahead with a stern look in his eyes. Although they were separated by the curtain of the carriage, they still knew that if Luoyu and Lang Hui had not stepped in to neutralize the incoming sword aura, the sword aura would have slashed towards their carriage. Fengjiu poked his head out after lifting the curtain and touched the mark on the carriage. He said, "As expected, it's still a little weak. If it was custom-made, it wouldn't have been cut so easily." As he spoke, he looked ahead and saw 8 guards in tight robes attacking 4 independent cultivators. The 8 guards were all at the Celestial Sage realm. The 4 independent cultivators consisted of 3 men and 1 woman. 2 of the men were around 25 years old, the other looked to be 40 or 50 years old. and the woman looked to be only 17 or 18 years old. However, she was also very beautiful and outstanding. At the side, a man in golden robes who was being protected by two other middle-aged men stared at the woman. The desire in his eyes could be seen at a glance. As the fight between the two sides gradually approached the carriage, the well-dressed man's gaze also fell on her. As expected, she saw a flash of surprise in the well-dressed man's eyes. He even wanted to take a step forward to approach her, but he was blocked by the two middle-aged men. Fengjiu frowned slightly when he saw this. He lowered the curtain and was about to let Luo Yu drive the carriage away when he felt the carriage shake. Luo Yu and Leng Hua's shouts came from outside. "Come down." The sound of swords clashing echoed throughout the carriage. Coupled with the shaking of the carriage, the tea on the small table spilled all over the table. Xianyuan Mo's frowned. He gathered spirit power in his palm and slammed it down. Bang! Ah! Ah! With a loud bang, the surrounding crowd saw the people who had jumped onto the carriage to fight being shaken to the ground. One by one, they fell to the ground and spat out blood. Among them, the rogue cultivator who had fallen was quickly helped up by the other three, and they took the opportunity to quickly escape. On the other hand, the guards lying on the ground were not so lucky. None of them could even stand up. They could only feel the unbearable pain in their internal organs. When they opened their mouths, they spat out another mouthful of blood. When the man in luxurious clothes saw this, he couldn't help but be shocked. Even the faces of the two middle-aged men who were protecting him changed slightly. They didn't even bother to chase after the people who escaped. Instead, they helped each other up and retreated to the side. Only the two middle-aged men went forward. "We were careless and offended you, sir. We are truly sorry. Please forgive us." The two middle-aged men cupped their hands and apologized to the carriage. Chapter 29-29. Even though they had seen many handsome men and women, none of them could compare to these two. Moreover, from the aura of the black-robed man, they could tell that he was no ordinary person. Fengjiu stood by Xianyuan Mo's side and said nothing. Xianyuan Mo's deep gaze swept over them and landed on the two middle-aged men. He said in a deep voice, "A new carriage, and one forged from black gold." Hearing this, the two middle-aged men trembled and suddenly returned to their senses. They glanced at the sword chi mark on the carriage and hurriedly said, "Sir, don't worry. When we return to the residence, we will definitely report to the Patriarch and compensate Sir with a carriage made from black gold as an apology. However, I wonder where the carriage will be sent once it's completed." The surrounding people looked at the two middle-aged men in surprise. Even the man in luxurious clothes was rather stunned. He did not think that they would not dare to refute the other party's request and would directly offer compensation. It was completely different from the arrogance they had shown when they attacked the rogue cultivators earlier. Xianyuan Mo's walked forward with Fengjiu in his arms. He did not answer the man's question. Behind them, Leng Hua left behind an address for them to send the carriage to the residence. When the two middle-aged men heard that they lived in such a prestigious residence, they did not dare to be careless. They quickly brought the man in luxurious clothes back. On the way back, the man in luxurious clothes was dissatisfied. He said, "Why did you so easily agree to compensate him with a carriage made from black gold? That's not cheap. Moreover, this makes our Lu family seem very weak. We're actually afraid of a mere few people. In my opinion, we should use this opportunity to teach them a lesson and then steal that beauty." "Sir, you can't say that again." The two middle-aged men were shocked. They could not help but look around before saying, "Sir, that black-robed man's strength is extraordinary. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Even we are intimidated by his aura. It's not good to have bad relations with someone like that. But he's just a lecher. He always brings a woman with him when he goes out. It's clear that he's not a powerful person. The man in luxurious clothes said disapprovingly. However, he could not forget the beautiful woman in red that he had seen once. That woman is truly beautiful. She's like a fairy. All the so-called beauties I've seen in the past could not compare to her in the slightest. It's truly a waste for such a beauty to follow that kind of man. Hearing this, the two men could not help but bitterly smile. This young master really did not use his brain. It said that such a person was definitely not an ordinary person. He actually still could not forget that beautiful woman in red. He was truly lustful. After returning to the residence, the two of them first went to report the matter to their patriarch. After Patriarch Lu heard their report, he pondered for a moment before saying, to be able to live in such a place, it can be seen that they are not ordinary people. Since that is the case, then order someone to build a carriage as compensation. Yes, the man said, the two men in luxurious clothes. After watching them leave, Patriarch Lu clasped his hands behind his back and pondered. Then, he ordered, go. Find out where they came from. Yes. The shadow guard who was hiding in the dark heard the order and rushed out. Chapter 29:30. Seeing that the two of them were dressed luxuriously, the shopkeeper thought that they should have bought a lot of things. Who would have thought that they would just walk around and leave? They didn't buy anything. The shopkeeper was stunned for a long time. Only after a long time did he regain his senses. He shook his head. I really couldn't tell. They're dressed like that, but they're actually so stingy. The two of them walked slowly along the street. Leng Hua followed behind them, while Luo Yu drove the carriage at a leisurely pace behind them. I didn't think that the pills in this place would be so ordinary. No wonder CK and the others were so ecstatic when they received my pills. Fengjiu chuckled softly. Seeing that there were peanut candies on the corner of the street, he pulled Xianyuanmo's over. Let's go try some peanut candies. Fengjiu said. He pulled him over to the stall and tried a small piece. When Xianyuanmo saw this, he silently took out a gold coin. I'll buy all of these. He tossed a gold coin over. When the shopkeeper saw that it was a gold coin, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. He hurriedly helped them pack up the peanut candies. Leng Hua, who was behind them, stepped forward and put the candies into his Qianquan bag. He only left a small bag for them to eat. The few of them strolled along the street. When they arrived at a place where many people were rushing in one direction, they couldn't help but feel curious. Leng Hua, go ask what's going on up ahead. Yes. Leng Hua responded. He went forward to ask, and not long after, he returned. Master, there's a bestial battle arena up ahead, so many people are going there to watch. When she heard that it was a bestial battle arena, she wasn't very interested. Unexpectedly, a shopkeeper beside her said, Young masters and young misses, you're not from around here, right? No wonder you don't know about this bestial battle arena. It's different from normal bestial battle arenas. Fengjiu looked at him and asked with a smile, how is it different? Hee, young miss, this is the Sky Colosseum. Don't be fooled by the fact that many people are rushing over to watch the show. In fact, they can't even enter. Who in Four Corners City doesn't know that the Sky Colosseum can only be entered by rich and powerful cultivators? Ordinary people like us can't even afford to pay the entrance fee. However, the inside is indeed extraordinary. It is divided into the underground floor and the Sky City. Many foreigners who come to Four Corners City will come to the Sky Colosseum. Hearing the peddler's words, Fengjiu smiled and said, thank you. Then, he walked forward with Xianyuanmo's. Leng Hua went forward to inquire about the price and came back, saying, Master, it's 100 gold coins per person to enter. Each person can bring one person in. Since that's the case, let's go take a look. Xianyuanmo said. He had Luo Yu stop the carriage at the side and led them in. Just as the peddler said, the people outside were only watching from the outside. However, they couldn't see what they wanted to see. As for those who wanted to enter, they had to pass through the first floor of the bestial battle arena to the back. May I know if the two esteemed guests would like to go up or down? The attendant asked respectfully. What's the difference? Xianyuan Mose asked. Chapter 29:31. 2,000 gold coins. When Lang Hua and Luo Yu heard this, they couldn't help but be speechless. This was a sky-high price. An ordinary family wouldn't be able to spend 2,000 gold coins in their lifetime. But here, it cost 2,000 gold coins a day. They couldn't help but look at their two masters. This money was really expensive. When Fengjiu heard that it was 2,000 gold coins, he smiled. This place was really not cheap. He just didn't know if it was worth the price. Lang Hua. Xianyuan Mose glanced at him. Yes. Lang Hua stepped forward and followed the attendant. After paying the fee, he received a few white jade tokens and a number with the number 9. Two distinguished guests, please come this way, the attendant said respectfully. The attendant said respectfully. He led the way for them. When they arrived at a teleportation formation, he had them crush their white jade tablets and they flew up at the speed of light. In the blink of an eye, they stood firm as if they were above the clouds. Xianyuan Mose hugged Fengjiu and walked to the edge to take a look. A strange look flashed across his eyes. Looking down, it was a vast expanse of whiteness. Clouds and mist swirled below, and they seemed to be in the clouds. They used their divine senses to investigate and saw that this place was set up with a barrier. It was like a world floating in the air. However, the only difference was that there was nothing else in this place other than a 3-story, circular, luxurious place. Before he entered, he could already see the dazzling golden outer wall shining with a dazzling light. There was also dense spiritual energy in the surroundings, and there was a faint sound of music. The place was filled with clouds and mist, and it was like a fairyland. They were led in by the attendant. They walked through a small path to their room number 9. The attendant bowed respectfully and said, "Two distinguished guests, in addition to watching the beast fights, you can also gamble. You can place your bets with the number 9 tokens in your hands. In this place, other guests can't come here to disturb you or see you. Similarly, you can't see other guests." As he said that, the attendant paused and asked, "Two distinguished guests, do you need 2 beautiful women to serve you?" Xianyuan Mose was about to say no, but Fengjiu said with a smile, "Call them in." Hearing this, he bowed and left. Not long after, 2 beautiful women came in from outside. They looked at the people in the room, and their eyes fell on Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu. "Greetings, young master, young Mississippi," the 2 of them stepped forward and bowed. As they saw the woman in red beside the black-robed man, they lowered their heads. "What can the 2 of you do?" Fengjiu asked, glancing at the 2 beautiful women. "Young miss, I know the 5 arts. I can play the zither and make tea for you and young Mississippi. I know the art of relaxing tendons and reviving bones. I can help young miss get rid of your fatigue." The woman was a tactful person. Seeing that the black-robed man didn't even look at them, she respectfully replied to Fengjiu. Hearing their words, Fengjiu smiled and said, "There is music here. Forget about playing the zither, make tea for us." Chapter 29:32. The other woman stood behind Fengjiu and massaged her shoulders. Not long after, 2 more women knocked on the door and came in. They brought snacks and wine and then knelt beside the 2 of them to serve them. Xianyuan Mose glanced at them and said in a low voice, "You 2 can leave. Don't come in without orders." "Yes." The 2 women who came in carrying things responded respectfully, and then left. "Is the battle in the middle?" Fengjiu asked. "Yes. If Miss is interested, we can bet." The woman who was massaging Fengzhou's shoulder said softly, "The green side won the last round. The red side will fight the undefeated double-edged swordsman." Hearing this, Fengzhou was slightly surprised. This is a battle between beasts and humans. She thought it would be a battle between beasts, but hearing this, it was clearly a battle between beasts and humans. It's a battle between beasts and humans. The green side is a beast, and the red side is a cultivator. The woman continued, "Both sides will enter the cage. Only when one side dies will the victor be decided. It's a battle between beasts. This battle is cruel." Fengzhou sighed softly. She looked down and listened to the faint sounds coming from the surroundings. No one knew what she was thinking. Not long after, another woman came in with 2 cups of tea. "Young master, miss, please have some tea." Xianyuan Mose and Fengzhou took the cups. Smelling the tea's fragrance, Fengzhou smiled. It seems that the 2,000 gold coins were well spent. "This is spiritual tea." Xianyuan Mose took a sip and said, "This spiritual tea is sweet and has a sweet aftertaste. When it enters the stomach, the spiritual energy flows. It's not bad. The water used to make this tea is not ordinary water, right?" Fengzhou looked at the woman. "Miss, this tea is made from the snow water of Tianling Mountain. The tea leaves are alpine spirit tea. In the entire 4 square city, only the city in the sky can drink this spirit mountain snow tea. Make a cup for the 2 of them." Fengzhou gestured for her to make a cup for Lang Hua and Luo Yu. Hearing this, a trace of surprise flashed through the woman's eyes, but she still respectfully replied, "Yes. Master, is this tea really that good? I just tasted the wine. It's also spiritual wine and has a very rich taste. Master, do you want to drink a cup?" Luo Yu asked with a clear smile. Fengzhou smiled and said, "No, you too can drink. Just don't get drunk." "Thank you, master." The 2 of them said as they sat down and drank their wine, watching the dance in front of them. It was only after the graceful dancers had left that the area was cleared that a black iron cage appeared. This black iron cage was from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor, and it was wide enough to cover the entire space in the middle. A man wearing a tight-fitting suit appeared first. He held 2 swords in his hands and his gray hair was tied up. There were 2 intersecting scars on his face and his eyes were cold and bloodthirsty. With just a glance, Fengzhou could sense the strong smell of blood on this person. Presumably, his hands were stained with the blood of many people. After a short while, a double-headed lion seemed to have smelled blood as it grabbed the iron cage and roared furiously at one side of the iron cage. "Young master, miss, if you want to bet, you can place your bets now," the woman said softly. "Massage your legs," Fengzhou said as he drank his tea and looked at the scene below. He also looked at the surrounding guests who stood up and looked down. Chapter 29:33. Even though they couldn't see it clearly, it was faintly discernible and even more alluring, especially that dazzling red color. Even the crystal curtain couldn't hide it. Perhaps sensing the other party's gaze, Xianyuan Mose frowned and looked at the other party with some displeasure. With Fengzhou's appearance, it was very easy for people to stare at her outside, especially when she was dressed as a woman. Fengzhou's gaze fell on the war beast cage below. Looking at the man and beast inside, she turned to Xianyuan Mose. "Do you think the beast will win? Or that cultivator? That 2-headed lion will win." Xianyuan Mose looked at her and asked, "Do you want to bet a little?" Fengzhou pursed her lips and smiled. "Since you said so, then let's bet a little." She smiled at the woman who was massaging her feet and asked, "What's the lowest bet?" "The lowest bet is 500 gold coins. You just have to take the number plate and walk to the front and shout out the amount of gold coins you want to bet," the woman said softly. "Then let's bet 4,000 gold coins. We spent 4,000 gold coins to come here." She chuckled and had Lang Hua raise the number plate to place his bet. Hearing this, Linghua took the number 9 plate and walked forward, shouting out the words "bet on the green side to win" and "bet 4,000 gold coins." Not long after, his words echoed in the air of the building. Guest number 9 is betting on the green side to win 4,000 gold coins. Hearing this, many people looked towards room number 9. However, they couldn't see the people inside clearly. They could only see a few indistinct figures inside. Among them, there was a red figure who couldn't hide her beauty even though she was separated by a beaded curtain. Guest number 13 is betting on the red side to win 2,000 gold coins. Guest number 5 is betting on the green side to win 1,500 gold coins. Guest number 1 is betting on the red side to win 3,000 gold coins. Guest number 17 has placed a bet of 1,000 gold coins on the red team. Not long after, the entire building was filled with bets placed by the rooms. Most of them were betting on the red team's double-edged swordsman to win. After all, this person had never lost since the beginning of the beast battle. In everyone's opinion, he would definitely win. Therefore, naturally, no one thought that the green team would win this round. Therefore, someone laughed and said, "Guest in room 9, your bet has gone down the drain. 4,000 gold coins have been wasted." "Ha, the person in room number 9 is a lady, right? You look like a woman in red. Do you want to come out and show your face?" Hearing the laughter around them, Fengjiu turned to look at Xianyuan Mo's. Seeing his dark face and a hint of displeasure, he said, "Do you think we should raise the stakes?" She played with her hair and didn't wait for Xianyuan Mo's to speak. She smiled and said, "Since we're going to play, let's make it more exciting. I'll add another 6,000 gold coins." Hearing this, the woman who was pressing down on Fengjiu's feet was stunned. She raised her head and stared blankly at her. 10,000 gold coins. Did this lady know how much 10,000 gold coins were? Moreover, didn't she come with this man? She was wasting money like this. Didn't this man care? Thinking of this, she could not help but look at the dark-faced man. Seeing the faintly displeased expression on his face and his slightly furrowed brows, she could not help but think to herself, "Look, no matter how much he dotes on this red-clothed woman, this man still does not like her style of recklessly wasting money." Chapter 29-34. Leng Hua, raise the stakes. Xianyuan Mo said in a deep voice. "Yes." Leng Hua replied and stepped forward to raise the stakes. He raised the stakes from 4,000 gold coins to 6,000 gold coins, bringing the total to 10,000 gold coins. Guest number 9 raised the stakes. The voice reverberated. When it reached everyone's ears, everyone was stunned. They thought that the other party should be a rich second generation. How could he raise the stakes after being provoked like that? It seemed that he was a brainless person. However, they did not know that Xianyuan Mo's and Fengjiu had a card up their sleeves. After all, from their perspective, they could naturally see that the cultivator was injured. If he fought with a ferocious two-headed lion while injured, he would definitely die. Thus, after the gong sounded, the black iron door opened. The two-headed lion charged out with a low roar and fiercely pounced on the cultivator. The two heads roared at the same time, and the powerful pressure caused the air to tremble slightly. The two swords in the cultivator's hands moved at the same time, and a sharp sword energy shot out, but the two-headed lion dodged it. It pounced forward, and its sharp claws drew a few sharp air blades in the air. The sharp claws slashed across the cultivator's arm, and immediately tore off his sleeve along with his flesh. A shrill scream followed. However, he did not have time to check his wound. He suddenly turned around and quickly distanced himself from the two-headed lion. Only then did he look down at his wound. He saw that there were several deep scratches on his arm. His sleeve and flesh had been torn off, and his flesh was badly mangled and dripping with blood. The thick smell of blood spread in the black iron cage, causing the two-headed lion to become even more excited and ferocious. Roar! The roars from the two heads converged into one. If one did not listen carefully, one would not be able to tell that it came from the two beasts. When they saw that a piece of the cultivator's flesh had been torn off, the people in the room could not sit still. Why did he slow down? He didn't dodge that attack. Someone lifted the curtain and stood at the railing to look down. His eyes widened as he looked at the scene below. Although 2,000 to 3,000 gold coins was not a big deal to them, losing money was a small matter, but losing face was a big matter. In room 9, Fengjiu and Xianyuanmos were calmly drinking tea as they watched the scene below. It wasn't that they were cold-blooded and wanted to gamble with a cultivator's life. Instead, with their discerning eyes, they could tell that the cultivator wasn't a kind person. That person's gaze was gloomy and cold. The ferocious aura in his eyes was extremely heavy, and the stench of blood on his body was also extremely thick. That was the aura of someone who had been stained with blood and slaughter all year round. Since they were going to fight with the ferocious beast, they naturally chose the strongest to bet on. Sure enough, not long after, a series of blood-curdling screams came out. After being heavily injured by the fierce beast, the cultivator's speed dropped significantly, and his body was covered in blood. Seeing that the outcome of the battle was about to be decided, the people in the other rooms couldn't help but look towards room number 9 with strange gazes. How did the person in room number 9 know that the two-headed lion won this round? After all, ever since the double-edged swordsman had participated in the beast fights, he had not lost a total of more than 20 battles. Who would have thought that he would lose today? Chapter 29:35. He actually exchanged for a life jade tablet. Looks like he's not confident in winning this battle either. A man standing by the railing said. He stared at the double-edged swordsman who fell out of the black iron cage and shook his head. Even if he survives, he probably won't be able to fight beasts in the future. Then what's with the life jade tablet? Fengjiu looked at one of the women and asked. Replying to Miss, it's a life jade tablet that costs 500 gold coins. It can only be used to save one's life after the victor has been decided. The woman said softly. Everyone who enters the beast fighting arena gets one. Didn't they say they would fight to the death? She raised her eyebrows and looked at the woman. Hearing this, the woman said softly, not everyone gets one. Only those who exchange for 500 gold coins will get one. Also, under normal circumstances, very few people would exchange for a life jade tablet. Most cultivators fight to the death. Hearing this, Fengjiu's eyes flashed. That's right, the people who participate in the beast fighting arena are all people who exchange their lives for money. Why would they take out 500 gold coins to exchange for a life jade tablet? Not long after, the double-edged swordsman was dragged away by two men. A voice in the air announced that the green side had won. Not long after, an attendant came over with a tray. Honorable guests, this is the 10,000 gold coins you've won. Please accept it. The attendant bowed and brought the tray in front of Xianyuanmos and Fengjiu. Leng Hua. Fengjiu called out. Leng Hua came forward to check and then put away the gold coins. Master, the 10,000 gold coins are correct. Fengjiu calmly replied and said to the two women, you two can leave as well. Yes. The two women respectfully replied and obediently left. Seeing this, if they still didn't know the status of the woman in red, then they would have wasted their years in the beast fighting arena. Guest from room 9, how did you know that the two-headed beast would win? A man asked loudly as he stood by the railing, looking at the two indistinct figures. Xianyuanmos and Fengjiu didn't pay any attention to them. They were resting on the soft couch while Leng Hua and Luo Yu stood beside them. Master, we spent 4,000 gold coins to come here, but now we've won 10,000 gold coins. We still made a profit. Luo Yu grinned. He felt that he wouldn't lose out if he followed his master. Yes, it's a small profit. After all, we don't have any source of income. Spending 4,000 gold coins to watch a battle beast is indeed a little wasteful. Fengjiu said as he picked up a piece of pastry to eat. Master, how did you know that the two-headed beast would win? Luo Yu asked the question in his heart. That cultivator's strength was not low, but he was still defeated. It was really unexpected. That person has an internal injury that hasn't healed yet. After a long battle, he will definitely lose, Fengjiu said calmly. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Lang Hua walked forward to open the door. Seeing that it was the attendant, he let him in. The attendant was carrying a tray. When he came to Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's side, he said respectfully, "Honorable guests, guest from room 5 has gifted you two a bottle of fine wine and also ordered a dance for you two. Please enjoy." Chapter 29:36. The dancers of the city in the sky are extremely beautiful. Their faces are covered by a veil, which makes them look even more mysterious. Their beautiful eyes are moving and charming. Look at their figures. They are as graceful as willows swaying gently, but also like water snakes twisting. They are truly enchanting. A man walked out of the crystal curtain and stood by the railing, looking at the beauty in white who was leading the dance. When he saw the snow-white skin on her chest, he couldn't take his eyes off her. In the clouds, the beauty's long sleeves danced. The ribbons wrapped around her snow-white arms danced with their movements. From time to time, she would lightly jump up with the tip of her foot, and her figure would lightly spin and land on the ground. Her skirt would flutter, mesmerizing the eyes, the exclamations outside were endless, and the praises were even louder. Some people were even asking how much it would cost to redeem this dancer. In room 9, Fengjiu looked at the moving dance and listened to the praises coming into her ears. She smiled and looked at Xianyuan Mo sitting beside her. She asked with a smile, "Is it beautiful?" The corners of Lang Hua and Luo Yu's lips curled up slightly. The two of them quietly retreated to the side as they watched the moving dance. It had to be said that because of their cultivation, these dancers were even more graceful when they danced. In addition to the scene in the clouds and their beautiful faces, they really did feel like fairies in the clouds. Xianyuan Mo looked at the dancing dancers. After looking at them seriously for a while, he turned to look at Fengjiu and said, "Although their dancing is moving, they are still not half as good as a Jew." The dances of these women were indeed very good, but he knew that if his Jew danced, she would be even more devastatingly beautiful. She would be a national beauty. Hearing this, Fengjiu pursed her lips and smiled. These people are indeed not bad. Unexpectedly, they can also be praised by you. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo looked at her. A Jew doesn't like me praising their dancing. Then I won't praise them. Since he praised me, he should be rewarded. Fengjiu said with a smile. He turned to Lang Hua and said, "Tip each of them 100 gold coins. Tip the lead dancer 200 gold coins." This was all money that he had won. It was especially comfortable to use this money to tip people. Yes. Lang Hua responded and went outside to inform the dancers. When the dance was over and the dancers were about to leave, they heard a voice in the air and stopped. Guest number 9, please reward the dancers with 100 gold coins each. Reward Water Xian, the lead dancer, with 200 gold coins. Hearing this, the others also tipped the dancers with gold coins, especially the leading dancer. Thus, after the dance, the dancers received a lot of silver coins. Thank you for your generosity. Shui Xian, whose face was covered by a veil, bent her knees and expressed her gratitude. Just as she was about to leave, she heard a man ask with a smile. Miss Shui, we have already tipped you a lot of silver coins, but we haven't even seen your face. Shouldn't you take off your veil and let us see your face? Hearing this, the others also joined in. That's right, that's right. We have all tipped you a lot of silver coins. No matter what, you should let us see your face. Moreover, a beautiful woman should be tipped by everyone. How can you hide your face with a veil? Chapter 29:37. Esteemed guests, you are all dragons and phoenixes amongst men. Xian Xian really doesn't dare to. Before she could finish her sentence, she was rudely interrupted by an impatient voice. What are you blabbering on about? We asked you to take off your veil, so take it off. We want to see your face. That's your honor. You're just a mere dancer. What are you pretending to be so reserved for? Stop putting on airs. Hearing these words, Shui Xianqian's delicate body trembled. Her beautiful eyes filled with tears as she looked up. Then, she lifted her hand and took off her veil with trembling hands. Since esteemed guests want to see my face, I'll take off my veil. When the veil was taken off, a pure and beautiful face appeared in front of everyone. This made the eyes of the men who were used to seeing beautiful women light up. The beauty stood there quietly with tears in her eyes. She looked so pitiful that it made them feel a special feeling in their hearts. In an instant, many of them were tempted. This dancer's body was slender and her waist was like water. Her face was pure and beautiful. She looked gentle and pleasant. It was not impossible for her to become a concubine. Fengjiu looked at the woman's face that was revealed after she took off her veil and smiled. This is great. There's only one beauty. I wonder who will get her. When those people were shouting for Shui Xianxian to take off her veil, the manager of this place did not appear. It was obvious that he did not care about a mere dancer. If any of the people here were to speak up and buy her, this woman would only become their plaything. She has looks but no ability to protect herself. It's only a matter of time before she falls into a dangerous situation. Xianyuan Mo said flatly. He merely swept a glance at the woman below, then averted his gaze. From their point of view, even if the woman was innocent, she should have known that she was going to face such a situation in a place like this. They did not have the time to care about other people's affairs. Aren't we going to fight the beasts? Why are we wasting time? What beast will be coming out for the next round? Fengjiu's voice rang out faintly, interrupting the crowd's discussion about the woman. Hearing this lazy voice, the attention of those people was immediately attracted. They couldn't help but look towards the 9th room. When they vaguely saw the red figure, they smiled and looked at the black figure, saying, speaking of which, the guest from the 9th room hasn't shown up yet. You came to Sky City and even brought a beauty with you. Sir, you're quite an elegant person. I wonder if the beauty beside you can come out to meet me. Just as that person's voice fell, Xianyuan Mo's deep eyes flashed with a cold light. He raised his hand to condense a stream of air and attacked that man with lightning speed. Swish! Hiss! Ah! A sharp airflow streaked across the air and hit the man's calf with a swoosh. The bone-chilling airflow hit his calf, causing him to involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air and cry out in pain. His entire body was thrown out of the railing due to inertia. Before anyone could react, he fell heavily to the ground floor with a bang. Ah! His body fell heavily to the ground, causing him to groan in pain. It was as if his blood and chi could not flow for a moment, making it difficult for him to even breathe. He held his breath and lay on the ground for a while to recover. It was also at this moment that the crowd finally reacted and cried out in surprise. Hiss! He actually fell down. Sir! Chapter 29:38. For a moment, the scene seemed to be a little chaotic. Those who were originally standing by the railing slowly came back to their senses and looked at the room where Fengjiu and the others were. Just now, that person was talking to room number 9, which was why he suddenly fell down. It seemed that the person in room number 9 had injured him. Young master. A man quickly stepped forward and helped the man lying on the ground up. He asked anxiously, Young master, how are you? Where are you hurt? Hiss. My leg, my calf. The man in luxurious clothes pointed at his calf and said. The man in martial arts clothes quickly bent down to check. When he rolled up the man's trousers and saw that his calf was slightly red and swollen, he couldn't help but gasp. It's swollen. The man in room number 5 stood by the railing with his hands behind his back. He looked at the man in black robes who stood up and walked out of the water curtain. When he saw the man in black robes, a strange look flashed across his eyes. He didn't expect him to be so young and so outstanding. Just because the man said a few words that offended the woman in red, the man in black robes attacked him. It was obvious that the woman in red was extraordinary to him. Xianyuan Mo stood by the railing with his hands behind his back. He didn't hide his peak divine realm aura at all. He looked down at the man in luxurious clothes below and said in a deep voice, "It was I who injured you. What can you do about it?" When the man in luxurious clothes who was supported by the accompanying guards heard this, he couldn't help but grit his teeth. "If you have the guts, leave your name." "Ha!" Xianyuan Mo sneered, his deep black eyes filled with coldness. "You want to know my name? You overestimate yourself." As he spoke, his tone was very arrogant, as if he didn't take him seriously at all. "You?" The man stared at Xianyuan Mo's. Perhaps because he was the only one with him, his calf was red and swollen. He immediately shouted, "Where's the manager here? Come out." Seeing this, the manager who didn't want to interfere in their affairs could only walk out and laugh. "Guests, let's each take a step back. After all, this is Sky City. If things get out of hand, it won't be good for anyone. That's simple. Why don't we just ask number 9 to give the red-dressed beauty to number 13's guest?" A man crossed his arms and leaned against the railing as he spoke. It was as if he wasn't afraid of making a big deal out of it. He even deliberately stirred up trouble. Hearing this, the man looked at Xianyuan Mo's provocatively and said, "That's right. If you want me to take a step back, it's easy. Hand over the woman in red." Xianyuan Mo's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to speak, he saw the crystal curtain open and Fengjiu walk out. Fengjiu grabbed his hand and with a light squeeze, his anger was suppressed. He looked at her and saw that she was smiling. She looked at him with a gentle gaze before looking at the man in luxurious clothes who was being supported below. At this moment, as she appeared, the man in room 5 stared at her with a burning gaze. The others also stared at her in shock. It was as if they had never expected the woman behind the crystal curtain to possess such a devastatingly beautiful appearance. Chapter 29:39. The man in luxurious clothes looked at the beautiful woman in red and felt his heart beating fast. There had never been a woman who could make his heart beat faster with a single glance. Thus, he took a deep breath and calmed the anger in his heart, saying, "Since the beauty has spoken, this young master naturally won't bicker with you. However, I wonder, who is this person to you?" His gaze moved away from Fengjiu and landed on Xianyuan Mo's. Seeing this person's attitude towards the red-clothed woman, this red-clothed woman was most likely not an ordinary beauty. Fengjiu pursed his lips and smiled, his voice neither fast nor slow, "This is my husband. Young master spoke inappropriately earlier, so don't blame my husband for being angry. You're married." When the man in luxurious clothes heard this, he immediately became anxious and even raised his voice. "Naturally," she replied with a smile. "So what if you're married? If young Master Yuan likes this beauty, just take her home. She's just a woman. Moreover, with the Yuan family's influence in Four Corner City, there's no need to be so indecisive." The man who had stirred up trouble earlier spoke again, looking at them as if he was watching a good show. Hearing this, Fengjiu glanced at the man leaning against the railing and asked with a smile, "Does this guest have a grudge with the young master downstairs?" Hearing this, the man in luxurious clothes downstairs glanced at the man upstairs, not knowing what he was thinking. When the man leaning against the railing upstairs heard this, he asked, "Of course I have no grudge with young Master Yuan. The ones with grudges should be you. Just now, your husband made young Master Yuan fall down with one move and even injured his calf." His voice paused and his lips curled into a sneer. "Only young Master Yuan is magnanimous enough to not make a move against you. If it were anyone else, it wouldn't be so easy to calm down. And, it seems like there really is a grudge." Fengjiu nodded as if it was true. Looking at the man in luxurious clothes below, he said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Young Master Yuan, this guest wants to stir up trouble. He wants to borrow our hands to kill you. This is a great grudge, so you have to be careful. Otherwise, you won't even know when you'll be tricked." Hearing Fengjiu's words and seeing the man's expression change, how could the man in luxurious clothes not see it? He stared at the man coldly and said to the steward, "What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you finding some medicine to treat this young master's wound? Young Master Yuan, the injury on your leg was caused by my husband. Since that's the case, we should pay for the medicine as an apology to you." Fengjiu flicked her sleeve as she spoke, and a bottle of medicine fell onto the ground. Young Master Yuan caught it and glanced at Fengjiu, then glanced at Xianyuan Mose. In the end, he said, "Fine, it's my fault for offending you. Since you've already given him the medicine, then let's forget about it. Young Master is magnanimous. Please take a seat, I'll have the beautiful women bandage your wound." The steward hurriedly said and called for people to help him back. Seeing the matter that should have been settled so easily, the man in room number 5 who had been staring at Fengjiu had a glimmer in his eyes. There was a hint of admiration in his eyes. Chapter 2940. Fengjiu glanced at him indifferently. She took Xianyuan Mose's hand and led him inside. She sat back down on the couch and said softly, "Or we can just attack him directly. There'll probably be a lot of trouble in the future. Forget it. Take a step back and everything will be fine." Xianyuan Mose looked at her and smiled. "In the past, when you were all alone outside, I was always worried that you wouldn't be able to handle things. However, looking at how you've dealt with these days, it really proves that my worries were unnecessary. You're the only one who's worried all this time. Think about it, I've been alone for so many years. How could I not be able to handle such a small matter?" She chuckled and said, "What's more, sometimes using force isn't the best solution. It seems like I can cultivate in seclusion without worry." Xianyuan Mo said. He looked at her and said, "I plan to cultivate in seclusion after I'm done with my work. I want to break through to the peak of God as soon as possible. There's a dwelling in the mountains behind our residence. I've asked Du Fan to set up a spirit gathering formation there. When the time comes, I'll set up some formations and barriers. No one will disturb you. As for the rest, you don't have to worry. I'll take care of it." She still had to refine some pills, so she couldn't cultivate in seclusion for the time being. Moreover, it wouldn't be appropriate for the two of them to cultivate in seclusion together. Moreover, she had just broken through recently. Even if she cultivated in seclusion, she wouldn't be able to break through to the peak of God. She could only stabilize her cultivation. Since that was the case, she might as well take advantage of this period of time to do some more things. She needed to stabilize her footing in Four Corner City first. On the other side, young Master Yuan returned to his room and sat down. He allowed Meiji to bandage his wounds. Not long after he used the medicine in the bottle to bandage his wounds, he felt the pain gradually disappear. He couldn't help but glance at the bottle in surprise. The effects of this medicine were quite strange. It actually took effect so quickly. Where did this medicine come from? He had never seen such a bottle or ointment in Four Corner City. Because of the scene from before, the guests in the other rooms in Sky City paid a little more attention to Room 9. However, right when the next battle was about to begin, the man who'd caused trouble earlier gazed at Fengzhou and the others and said, "I wonder if the two of you from room 9 would dare to make a bet with me." Hearing this, Fengzhou raised her eyebrows. She didn't want to cause trouble and didn't want to argue with them. Who knew that these people wouldn't stop? Since that was the case, if they didn't teach him a lesson, wouldn't he think that they were easy to bully? She chuckled and asked casually, "What do you want to bet? How are we betting?" Hearing this, the man's eyes lit up and he said, "We'll each send a contract beast to fight. As for the wager, I'll take out 100,000 gold coins." "How about it? Gold coins? It's so boring." Fengzhou said disinterestedly, "If we don't have a good bet, this bet will be meaningless." Hearing this, the man's eyes flashed and he asked, "Then what do you want to bet?" As Fengzhou spoke, she played with the hair in front of her chest and said unhurriedly, "You were the one who suggested the bet. However, if the wager can't attract my interest, then there's naturally no need to bet. As for what you want to bet, it depends on what you can take out." Chapter 29:41. I can take out something good, but that doesn't mean you can take out something good. As the man spoke, he looked at the faintly discernible red figure behind the crystal curtain. He narrowed his eyes and said, "I am Jiang Shichang, the eldest son of the second branch of the Jiang family, one of the 8 great families of Four Corner City. Since you said you want to make a bigger bet, do you dare to bet on yourself?" A murderous intent surfaced in Xianyuan Mo's eyes, and a cold aura emanated from his body. He stared at the man, but didn't say anything. He merely watched in silence, and his hand, which was resting on the side of the couch, moved slightly, and gently tapped on the armrest. "You want to bet on me?" Fengzhou chuckled. She stood up and slowly walked out of the crystal curtain. She stood by the railing and looked at the man, asking, "Where is your bet?" Hearing this, a dim light flashed through the man's eyes. He raised his chin and immediately said, "I'll bet 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs and 100,000 crystal stones. How about it? Is this enough to bet on you?" Fengzhou chuckled, "I didn't know I was so cheap. This is the first time someone has offered such a price to bet on me." "You're quite bold." When the others heard this, they were slightly surprised. 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs were already a sky-high price. Adding on 100,000 crystal stones, even for the 8 great families of Four Corner City, this 100,000 crystal stones was equivalent to 10 years of their expenses. This Jiang Shichang actually dared to make such a bet, just for that red-clothed girl. In their opinion, no matter how beautiful that woman was, she was still just a woman. Why would he use such a sky-high price to bet on this? If he lost, even the master of the Jiang family would not let him off easily. After all, even if it was the second branch, it still represented the foundation of an aristocratic family. If he used it to bet on a woman, everyone would probably curse Jiang Shichang for being brainless. However, if he calculated that he would definitely win, then it would be a different story. To lure the red-robed lady into the trap with such extravagance was like trying to gain something without risking anything. Furthermore, as far as they knew, this Jiang Shichang had recently obtained a contract beast, which was already a 5th-order matured divine beast. As for that red-robed lady, they felt that she couldn't take out a contract beast at the level of a mythological beast, so the possibility of losing was very high. Judging from the way that woman handled things, she shouldn't be a brainless person. Everyone knew that such a bet couldn't be made. Unexpectedly, just as they were thinking about it, they heard the woman in red's voice. "Since we're going to gamble, then we'll have to bring the money here. Anyway, it's still early. Young Master Jiang can go and make the arrangements so that everyone here can be witnesses." Hearing this, Jiang Shichang paused for a moment before replying, "All right." He took off his token and instructed his attendant to do as he was told. At this moment, the people in the other rooms laughed and said, "Miss, you will definitely lose this bet with him. Where is your husband? Is he going to let you do whatever you want?" With their cultivation, they could naturally see that this woman was still a virgin. What husband? They were probably just saying it casually. If it was true, how could they let her gamble with herself? Chapter 2942. He turned his gaze to Jiang Shichang and said, "Young Master Jiang, I was right, wasn't I?" "Then why?" He glanced at Yuan He and said, "Our Jiang clan and your Yuan clan have always minded our own business. You better not meddle in other people's business. Can't young Master Jiang see? This Yuan He, young Master Yuan, is also interested in this red-clothed beauty." Another person laughed heartily. After glancing at them, his gaze fell on Fengzhou. "I didn't expect that the beast battle arena would become a competition for a beauty. Interesting." When Fengzhou heard this, he didn't say anything more. He just let the manager arrange for another dance. At this moment, Bai Xianxian, who had been ignored by everyone, appeared again. She was still the lead dancer, but her gaze would occasionally glance at Fengzhou. She was also a woman, but she was as low as the mud on the ground, while that woman was as high as the clouds in the sky. Seeing so many young masters from aristocratic families fighting to be the first to curry favor with her, she couldn't help but feel a trace of envy. They were clearly the same person, so why was she so different from the rest? As time passed, the news of the bet between the young masters of these aristocratic families spread. However, because the place was in the sky, it cost 2,000 gold coins to come up. Therefore, each family only sent 1 or 2 people to see what was going on. In some of the rooms where no one had spoken, the guests sat and drank tea and wine, waiting to watch the show. In one of the rooms, behind the crystal curtain, one could vaguely see the figures of a middle-aged man and an old man sitting and chatting. "Who do you think will win?" the middle-aged man asked as he took a sip of wine. "Do you still need to ask?" The old man stroked his beard and smiled. Looking at the red figure, he said, "Don't you have an idea in your heart?" "Hee hee." The middle-aged man chuckled and said, "I just don't know what this girl's contracted beast will be. It definitely won't be an ordinary creature. However, these 2 people look very unfamiliar. They shouldn't be from Four Corner City, right?" the old man asked, sizing up Fengzhou. "Yes, I've never seen or heard of such a person before." The middle-aged man drank his wine and said with a smile, "I'm really looking forward to it. It's more exciting than watching a fight. This fight is also cruel. If you don't have a life-saving jade token, you can only be swallowed alive in the end." The old man sighed and shook his white head. "If there's a goal, there's a risk. There's nothing in this world that is easy to obtain," the middle-aged man said unhurriedly. As if he had thought of something, he glanced at the old man and asked, "What about you? You haven't found the longevity fruit after so long." The old man revealed a bitter smile. "You think it's that easy to find the fruit? I've been looking for it for 3 years and there's no news at all. It takes 500 years to bloom and 500 years to bear fruit. Each fruit can increase one's lifespan by 100 years. This kind of thing is very precious. Even if there is one, I don't think anyone would be willing to take it out. They would all hide it and keep it for themselves in case they need it," the middle-aged man said slowly. He glanced at the old man's white hair and said, "With your old appearance, no one would know that you're 3 years younger than me." Chapter 2943. There were countless cultivators, but not all of them had a lifespan of 1,000 years and exceptional talent. The continent they were in was called the Upper Realm, but it was only because the spiritual energy was richer and more suitable for cultivators to live in. However, it didn't mean that every cultivator here had amazing strength. It also didn't mean that divine realm experts could be seen everywhere. After all, only the venerables and the big sects had the strength of a divine realm expert. As for those venerables, which one of them was not an old monster who had cultivated for hundreds of years? Which one of them was not the ancestor of the family? Many families could not produce a single divine realm powerhouse even if they exhausted all of their resources. It was obvious how stable the status of those sects was. He had cultivated for almost 500 years and had originally entered the fairy realm. However, because of a serious injury, his strength had regressed to the peak of the nascent soul realm. Now that his lifespan was about to end and his face was gradually aging, how could he not be anxious? However, even if he was anxious, what was the use? A lifespan fruit that took 500 years to bloom and bear fruit was difficult to find. Even if there was one, the collector would not be willing to take it out. It was precisely because he understood this point that he felt that he did not have much time left. Just as the two of them were talking, an old man and a middle-aged man from the Jiang family came in. They looked around and asked the attendant who had returned earlier, "Where is the young master?" "Great elder. Third uncle. Why are you here?" When Jiang Shichang saw the two people, he could not help but be shocked and hurriedly came down from above. The two of them stood with their hands behind their backs and looked at Jiang Shichang who came in front of them. They asked in a deep voice, "You want to bet 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs and 100,000 crystal stones with a woman? And if you win, you will only win against that woman. We want to see what kind of woman you are to make you lose your sense of propriety." Being reprimanded by two elders in front of so many people, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed, but he didn't dare to say anything. It would be fine if it were someone else, but one of them was the Jiang clan's grand elder, and the other was his third uncle, so he didn't dare to say anything. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. She leaned against the railing and looked at the three people below, saying, "Young Master Jiang said that he wanted to use me as a wager. I already reluctantly agreed. After all, it's just 10,000 years old spiritual herbs. 100,000 crystal stones is not even worth a finger of mine." Hearing this, the old man and the middle-aged man raised their heads and saw the woman in red leaning against the railing. They couldn't help but frown. Even if this woman was an outstanding beauty, he still couldn't use those things to gamble. Even if he was sure to win, there was no point in winning against such a woman. If word got out, he would become a joke. At that moment, the two of them looked at each other and then at the woman in red. The middle-aged man cupped his hands and said, "I was rude to use you as a wager. I'm sorry for offending you." Fengjiu smiled and looked at the two of them. She saw that the old man was a cultivator at the peak of the fairy realm, and the middle-aged man was a cultivator at the middle stage of the fairy realm. The two of them obviously wanted to stop the wager, but they didn't directly say that they didn't want to bet. Instead, they apologized and said that they had offended her. It had to be said that the way these two handled things was much better than Jiang Shichang's. Chapter 2944. However, Jiang Shichang had provoked her time and time again, so how could she let him off so easily? Hence, she smiled lightly and nodded, "Indeed, I've offended you. I've already said that such a small thing isn't worth mentioning in the same breath as me. However, seeing that young Master Jiang was in high spirits, I wanted to accompany you in the bet. Since both of you have said so, I naturally can't be used as a wager." She looked at them with a smile in her clear eyes and said, "How about this? I'll use 3 level 6 vitality breaking pills to bet with you. How about that?" As soon as she said this, a series of gasps could be heard, especially from one of the rooms where the sound of a teacup breaking could be heard. That was the room where the middle-aged man and the old man were. The two of them had originally seen the commotion below and thought that this bet would be lost. Who would have thought that they would hear 3 such pills? Level 6 Vitality Breaking Pill. It was a level 6 Vitality Breaking Pill. In their four-corner city, there had never been a level 5 Vitality Breaking Pill, but this woman had mentioned a level 6 Vitality Breaking Pill. Was what she said true or false? Did she really have such a pill in her hands? At that moment, the two of them were somewhat agitated, especially the old man. He was so agitated that the teacup in his hand shattered, and he didn't even realize that the tea had splashed onto his robes. He only stared blankly at the woman in red and asked the middle-aged man sitting beside him. Did I hear wrongly? Is it a level 6 fatality-breaking pill? Yes, you didn't hear wrongly. She said a level 6 fatality-breaking pill, but how precious is a level 6 pill? Moreover, it's a level 6 vitality-breaking pill. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and calmed himself down before saying, "Don't be too agitated. Perhaps it's just a false hope." How can I not be agitated? A level 6 fatality-breaking pill, you know that if I have a level 6 fatality-breaking pill, I can break through my current cultivation and enter the fairy realm, increasing my lifespan by another 200 years. At that time, I won't have to worry about my lifespan. The old man took a deep breath and felt his heart beating rapidly. Nervousness, apprehension, uneasiness, and agitation surfaced in his heart one by one, to the point that his forehead was covered in sweat and his palms were wet. Compared to the two of them, the others who heard this were extremely shocked as well. 3 level 6 breakthrough pills. One had to know that 6th level medicinal pills were extremely precious, especially the 6th level spirit breakthrough pill. Even 100,000 crystal stones and 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs couldn't buy one. But now, this woman actually said that she would bet 3 of them. For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on her. They were sizing her up, probing her, and shocked her. When the 3 people from the Jiang clan heard this, they were also stunned. Jiang Shichang looked at the red-clothed girl in astonishment and asked, You have a level 6 breakthrough pill. How is this possible? Young lady, are you talking about the 6th grade origin breaking pill? Is it really a level 6 breakthrough pill? The first elder of the Jiang clan and the third elder of the Jiang clan asked at the same time. Their voices carried a trace of urgency as they stared closely at Fengzhou. Level 6 breakthrough pill. If they really had such a treasure, then they could use the level 6 energy breakthrough pill to break through to the celestial sage stage. Chapter 29:45. No matter which peak level of strength one was at, they would definitely be able to break through again. Looking at their excited expressions, Fengzhou raised her eyebrows and thought to herself, is the 6th level origin breaking pill that attractive? Then she remembered that there weren't many 6th level pills in Four Corner City, and there were even fewer 6th level origin breaking pills that could allow one to break through cultivation. It seemed like the 3 6th level origin breaking pills she had mentioned earlier was too much. She was deep in thought until she heard a voice. Then, she came back to her senses. Miss, do you have a 6th level origin breaking pill? My Yuan family is willing to buy it for 200,000 crystal stones and 10,000 years old spirit herbs. Yuan He, who was on the other side, quickly said, his eyes burning as he stared at Fengzhou. Miss, if you have a 6th level origin breaking pill, I'm willing to buy it for 400,000 crystal stones and 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs. When the Yuan clan's young master heard this, he quickly shouted, Miss, if you sell it to my Yuan clan, I'll definitely give you the best price. Miss, I'm also willing to buy it at a high price. I'll definitely satisfy you. Sell the 6th level origin breaking pill to me. Miss. Hearing the voices scrambling to be first, Fengzhou glanced at them indifferently and said unhurriedly, not for sale. When the words, not for sale, came out, everyone felt as if their breath was stuck in their throats, not moving up or down, making them uncomfortable. Not for sale. If you're not for sale, then why did you say it in front of so many people? How could they sit still? When the Jiang clan's people heard this, they quickly said, didn't Miss say that you would take out 3 6th level origin breaking pills as the wager? Since it's like this, then how about we add 200,000 crystal stones and 2 sacred tools? 300,000 crystal stones, 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs, and 2 sacred tools. Fengzhou read out loud while looking at them, asking, you want to take out these as the wager? That's right, that's it. What do you think, Miss? the middle-aged man asked, his gaze falling on Fengjiu. Hearing this, Fengjiu's gaze shifted slightly. He smiled and said, I don't mind. However, I want to see the stakes first. I don't like things like trying to gain something without risking anything. As she spoke, she flipped her hand and a pill bottle appeared in her palm. Of course, Sky City must also have an alchemist. Let's ask the alchemist to examine this pill. Let's see if there's anything wrong with my pills. Upon hearing this and seeing her take out the pills, everyone's eyes couldn't help but redden. This was the level 6 breakthrough pill. Did she really have a level 6 yuan breakthrough pill? The steward above had already started making arrangements after they spoke. Not long after, 2 old men walked out. Looking at the red-clothed woman above, they said, Miss, please come down and examine the pill. Everyone glanced at the 2 alchemists and saw the woman in red handing the pills to the man beside her. Then, the man walked down. Ling Hua looked at the 2 pill appraisers and said, You 2 are testing here, right? Exactly. The 2 nodded as they spoke. They waved their hands and had someone bring a rectangular table over. Then, they took out the tools to examine the pills. Seeing this, Ling Hua handed the pill bottle over. Then, he stood to the side and watched quietly to prevent them from tampering. Chapter 2946. This is a supreme-grade medicinal pill. The 2 of them exclaimed in amazement. Their eyes were fixed on the 3 medicinal pills on the jade plate as they exclaimed in admiration, What's the point of testing a medicinal pill like this? This is clearly a 6th-level supreme-grade breakthrough pill. It's a treasure among treasures. Just as the 2 of them were about to take a closer look, they saw that the medicinal pill had already been collected by the young man standing in front of them and placed back into the bottle. What are you doing? The 2 of them asked, unable to react. Ling Hua glanced at the 2 of them and said, Since it's already been tested, then this medicinal pill naturally has to be put back. As he spoke, he turned and walked back into the room. Seeing this, the 2 pill appraisers were speechless for a long time. They only looked at the young man who had already turned and left in annoyance. If they had known earlier, they would have carefully studied it. But now, they didn't even have the chance to examine it closely before the treasure was taken back just like that. Everyone had been staring at the medicinal pill when it was poured into the jade plate. Naturally, they also saw the 6 spiritual auras on the medicinal pill and heard the 2 pill appraisers' words. Naturally, they knew that this was a 6th-level supreme-grade medicinal pill without a doubt. A 6th-level medicinal pill was already rare, but it was actually a supreme-grade medicinal pill. A supreme-grade medicinal pill represented a medicinal pill without the slightest bit of pill poison. Such a medicinal pill was definitely not something that an ordinary pill refiner could refine. One had to know that most medicinal pills contained pill poison to some extent. It was also because of this that some people could no longer advance after taking an advancement pill. There were also some people who could no longer take another pill after taking a certain amount. Otherwise, the pill poison in their body would exceed the limit and cause hidden dangers to their bodies. Now, this medicinal pill was a supreme-grade medicinal pill without any pill poison. For a moment, everyone's breathing became heavy. Who was the one who refined this pill? When did such a powerful person appear in Four Corner City? A supreme-grade medicinal pill. As far as they knew, even the pill refiners of the 4 great immortal sects were unable to do this. On the other side, the Jiang family members were already impatiently asking, Miss, can we begin? Of course. Fengjiu's lips curled into a smile. With a wave of her sleeve, the shrunken Tun Yun appeared beside her. She reached out her hand and Tun Yun leaped into her embrace. She hugged the little thing in her arms and looked at the Jiang family below. She asked, Where are your contracted beasts? Seeing the little pet in her arms, the surrounding people were a little dumbfounded. You're using this little pet to fight them? Someone exclaimed, looking at her with an expression that said, "Are you stupid?" The members of the Jiang family were also stunned when they saw it. Compared to Jiang Shichang's joy, the great elder of the Jiang family and the middle-aged man narrowed their eyes and fixed their gazes on the little pet. Why couldn't they tell what rank this little pet was as a contract beast? Was this really just a pet? If she didn't have a certain level of battle prowess, how could this woman possibly take out 3 top-grade pills as a bet? For a moment, they were confused. If the other party had also summoned a divine beast, perhaps they would not have been so surprised and shocked. However, the other party had summoned such a small thing, which inexplicably made them feel uneasy. No one would gamble when they knew that they were going to lose. Those who knew how to gamble all thought that they could take a gamble. So when they came here, the other party's contracted beast should be on par with theirs. But now... Chapter 2947. This is a cloud-swallowing beast, Fengjiu said as he stroked the cloud-swallowing beast's head. Looking at them, he asked with a smile, "Where are your contracted beasts? Since you want to fight, then hurry up. We don't have time to waste here." Hearing this, the great elder of the Jiang family glanced at Jiang Shichang. Jiang Shichang waved his hand and summoned his contracted beast. "Raging Flame Dog, come out." His expression was somewhat complacent. As soon as his voice fell, a light flashed, and a huge black beast about 1 meter tall appeared beside him. When they saw the contracted beast, the surrounding people looked at it in astonishment, and then suddenly understood. They were wondering. How did the Jiang family's rank 5 divine beast end up in the hands of the second branch, Jiang Shichang? So it was because the rank 5 divine beast was a dog. Looking at this huge dog, it was completely black without a single strand of hair. Its dog skin was like a cushion that was suffused with luster. Although its 4 legs were covered in flames, its slender dog head and bulging dog eyes made it unlikable. If it was a small pet-type dog, its small body and appearance would be very likable, and some young ladies from aristocratic families would like it. However, if it was a huge type of dog, it was generally seen as ferocious. Even if it was a very high-ranked dog type, those with status would not contract it. Think about it, if a family head had a contract beast that was a dog, he would be laughed at by others. The contract beasts they wanted were generally strong in battle, high in rank, and also of good breed, worthy of their status. Therefore, no matter what, people with status would not choose a dog as their contract beast, even if it was already at the level of a divine beast. Looking at the enlightened expressions of the crowd, Jiang Shichang's complacent expression stiffened, and he shouted, "What's with that look? This is a rank 5 divine beast." "Hee, so it's a dog beast. No wonder young Master Jiang could obtain it." Yuan he chuckled and looked at the somewhat angry Jiang Shichang with ridicule. His gaze turned and fell on the woman in red. What kind of contract beast was that in her arms? My Sky City has never encountered such a gambling situation. Since it's like this, let me, the host, be the witness for the two of you. A middle-aged man in luxurious clothes walked out with his hands behind his back, followed by a steward. It's the master of Sky City. I didn't expect him to come out. That's right, how could 3 rank 6 breakthrough pills not alarm him? The surrounding people discussed in low voices. They were incomparably looking forward to this battle. They were even thinking that if the Jiang family won these 3 pills, they must return to the family and try their best to obtain one. Only a small number of people thought that the Jiang family would lose this battle. The divine beast's roar, the rank 5 divine beast, and the rank 5 divine beast's inside was released. Inside the cage, the rank 5 divine beast was roared in the cage and roar, the rank 5 divine beast was. And its roar, the rank beast roar, beasts, to, s, the king, the dragon king. Feng Jiu patted Tun Yun's head. Go. Chapter 2948. Just this one was enough to extinguish the flames on the four hooves of the majestic raging flame hound. Its original roar also turned into a whimper because of this one glance. Hearing that whimper, the surrounding crowd was stunned. Although it was a dog beast, it was still a 5th-level divine beast. Why did it cower in such a short time? However, what shocked them even more was the following scene. The cloud-swallowing beast walked forward and stopped in front of the giant dog beast. It raised its short claws and slapped forward. The seemingly weak slap actually caused the giant dog beast to flip over. It fell nearly 10 meters away and crashed heavily into the black iron cage. Without waiting for them to recover from their shock, they saw that tiny cloud-swallowing beast pounce forward and violently beat up the rank 5 divine beast. Although it was only its tiny claws and short legs, the banging sounds from the beating actually caused them to involuntarily shiver. What rank was this cloud-devouring beast? It actually suppressed a 5th-level divine beast. Hearing the continuous blood-curdling screams and the fact that the rank 5 divine beast didn't even have the chance to retaliate and was being beaten to a pulp, the surrounding people couldn't help but turn their stiff necks to look at the 3 people from the Jiang family. The 3 men from the Jiang family looked as if they had seen a ghost and didn't know how to describe it. That was a 5th-level divine beast. Even if it was a canine, it was still a divine beast. But it was actually beaten to such a state by a small pet. Seeing that the dog beast's head was swollen beyond recognition and its body was scratched so deep that its bones could be seen, Jiang Shichong finally couldn't take it anymore and rushed forward. "Stop hitting it! Stop hitting it! Stop it! Stop it!" That was his contracted beast. No matter what, he had obtained it with great difficulty. If he continued to hit it, it would be wasted. The cloud-devouring beast flipped over and kicked it again. The divine beast howled and spat out a mouthful of blood. A few of its sharp teeth also fell out. Woof woof! The canine beast curled up into a ball, holding its head as it screamed in panic. Its body trembled, and its swollen eyes could no longer be opened. It didn't even dare to look at the cloud-swallowing beast. "Master, is this all right?" Tun Yun turned around and looked up at his master. Upon hearing such a small pet speak, everyone's expression changed again, especially the people from the Jiang family. Their bodies trembled as they glared at Fengjiu. You're not an ordinary pet." Fengjiu raised his eyebrows. "Can I summon an ordinary pet to fight with your mythical beast?" As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of the 3 Jiang clan members immediately turned red. They originally wanted to use a level 5 divine beast to win the other party's 3 medicinal pills. This was indeed not very generous, but they had a level 5 divine beast. Even if he won, it was only right. But now, with the situation reversed, they couldn't accept the ups and downs of their emotions. Those were all real gold and silver. 10 stalks of 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs, so many crystals, and 2 sacred weapons. If they lost all these things, how could they explain it to their families? Chapter 2949. Hearing this, everyone looked at the woman in red in shock. Sacred beast? Just this little beast? Fengjiu smiled, but didn't reply. Instead, she turned and walked inside, coming to Xianyuanmo's side. "Are we leaving now? Or do you want to watch the battle for a while longer?" "Let's go now," Xianyuanmo said. He stood up, took her hand, and walked down. Luo Yu followed behind them to the first floor. At this moment, Linghua had already collected all the things they won. After they came down, he walked up to her. "Mistress, we've collected all the things we won. Here are 3 breakthrough energy pills." He handed the bottle of pills to her, and stored the other things in another space ring. Fengjiu took the things and nodded slightly to the owner of Sky City. "Goodbye." As soon as she finished speaking, she turned to look at the 3 people from the Jiang family, whose faces were flushed with anger. She smiled. I'll accept your gifts. Take it as an apology from young Master Jiang. As soon as she finished speaking, she smiled and was about to leave with Xianyuan. However, at this moment, a voice sounded. Miss, please wait. An old man in a room jumped down from above. He looked at Fengzhou and said, Miss, I wonder if you can sell a level 6 breakthrough energy pill to this old man. Whatever you want, this old man will do his best to get it for you. Fengzhou smiled and didn't say anything. She held Xianyuan's hand and left. The old man wanted to go forward and say something, but he was stopped by Lang Hua and Luo Yu. Tun Yun raised his head and walked slowly in front of the three people from the Jiang family. Only then did he follow Fengzhou and leave. It wasn't until they left that everyone regained their senses. It's over. It's over just like that. They won so many priceless treasures and left just like that. The three men from the Jiang family clenched their fists. After Fengzhou and the others left, they gritted their teeth and followed. A sacred beast had won so many treasures from them. Just who was this woman in red? They must get to the bottom of this. Following their departure, the others also left one after another. 3 level 6 energy breakthrough elixirs were elixirs that were enough to cause a commotion in Four Corner City. They originally thought that the Jiang clan would obtain it, but they didn't expect that the Jiang clan would fall into the hands of the red-clothed girl. Seeing the guests leave, the owner of Sky City chuckled. Interesting, a woman with a cultivation level that no one can see through. She also has a sacred beast and 3 level 6 breakthrough pills. She's really not simple. When the steward heard this, he stepped forward and respectfully said, Master, this subordinate has already sent people to investigate. I believe that there will be news soon. He replied, clasping his hands behind his back as he turned to leave. He instructed, come and report to me as soon as there's any news. With that, he also left. In an inconspicuous corner, Bai Xianxian gently bit her lip as she watched. Only after everyone had left did she retreat to the back. She didn't expect that woman to be so powerful. 3 level 6 energy breakthrough pills and a sacred beast. She really wasn't simple. And the black-robed man she was holding was even more outstanding than the men she had seen before. She really didn't know who these two people were. Chapter 2950. For a moment, many factions were trying to find out the identities of these two people. At this time, Xianyuan and Fengzhou were chatting comfortably in the residence. Master, you've obtained so many crystals today. 2 divine weapons and 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Are those people willing to part with these things? Du Fan looked at the treasures that had been taken out of the space ring and placed on the table. He couldn't help but be speechless. They'd only gone out for a walk and they'd already obtained so many priceless treasures. Not to mention the crystals, just the 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs and 2 divine weapons were already extremely difficult to obtain. Who would have thought that Master had only used a little trick and obtained so many treasures? When Lang Hua heard this, he said, I've already sent Guo out to gather information. However, I'm guessing that all the factions will be asking about us. While listening to their conversation, Fengzhou played with the 2 saint tools. One of them was a jade flute. Its entire body was green and translucent. Its head was very clear, and there was a bunch of tassels hanging from it. It was very beautiful. After looking at it, she handed the flute to Lang Hua. I'll keep this for you to protect yourself. Hearing this, Lang Hua was slightly taken aback. This was because he also had a divine weapon, a flute. However, he rarely used it. Now that Master was giving him this flute, he accepted it with both hands. Thank you, Master. This flute is indeed only suitable for Lang Hua. His temperament is suitable for a flute. Du Fan said with a smile as he waved his fan. He looked at the other divine weapon and asked with a smile, Master, what about this one? Fengzhou chuckled and glanced at him. She picked up the divine weapon and said, "This is a flexible sword, but it can also be turned into a long whip. Among all of you, only Lang Hua and Qingqing are suitable for this." She paused for a moment and glanced at the two of them. She smiled and said, "However, Ling Shuang's weapon is also a treasure. It doesn't matter if you don't want it. However, Qingqing doesn't have a decent weapon. Let's give this to her." Hearing this, Bai Qingqing, who was slightly startled, responded. She walked forward and took the sword. Looking at the saint weapon, she could not hide the joy in her heart and smiled. "Thank you, master." She did not expect that her master would give her this saint weapon. She was very excited to receive this saint weapon. Keep your spirits up these few days and pay more attention to the movements in the city. In the next few days, I may have to go into seclusion to refine pills, and Mose will also have to go into seclusion to cultivate, so the matters in this residence will be left to you guys to take care of. Feng Jiu instructed. "Yes, please rest assured, master. We will take good care of the manor," they replied in a deep voice. Feng Jiu nodded slightly. He looked at Lang Shuang and said, You have to take care of him." "Don't worry, master." Ling Shuang, who was carrying the child, replied. She knew that her task was to take good care of the child and prevent any mishaps from happening. Xianyuan Mose, who was standing at the side, watched as she gave instructions. After she was done, she dismissed everyone. Following their departure, only the two of them were left in the courtyard. He reached out and pulled her into his embrace. He rested his chin on her shoulder and said, "Ah, Joe, how can I go into seclusion to cultivate with you like this?" Hearing this, Feng Jiu pursed his lips and smiled. "What are you worried about?" "That those people will harm me. You should know that I can handle it." Chapter 29:51. Feng Jiu leaned into his embrace and reached out to hold his waist, saying, "Don't worry. I know how to handle things properly. You can rest assured and cultivate in seclusion. I can handle all the matters at hand. However, there are many experts above the heavenly god realm in this place. We have to break through as soon as possible and have a certain amount of strength as a foundation. I reckon that I won't be able to break through in a short period of time, so I'll start refining some pills. I'll leave the matter of breaking through to you. In the future, if there's really something that I can't handle, there's still you." She laughed softly and raised her head slightly to look at him. Her hands circled around his neck, and she raised her head to bite his chin. She joked, "Otherwise, I'm so beautiful and powerful. What will I do if someone even more powerful takes a fancy to me one day?" His chin was suddenly bitten, and he heard her laughter. Xianyuan Mo said, "That won't happen. If someone dares to have any ideas about you, I definitely won't let them off." As his voice fell, he leaned over and kissed her red lips. That night, many powers received the news. In the Jiang family patriarch stared at the three people standing in the hall, and said in a deep voice, "So, the person who won 10,000 years old spiritual herbs, 2 sacred tools, and 300,000 crystal stones only came to Four Corners City in the past 2 days." The three people stood below, and didn't even dare to raise their heads as they answered, "Yes, yes." According to the news that we've heard, they lived in the residential area we're in as soon as they entered the city. Moreover, that residence is the one with the best terrain. What about their other origins? The Jiang family patriarch asked in a deep voice. We only know that the Shao family bought a residence for them. We didn't find out anything else. As they said this, their heads drooped even lower. Hearing this, the Jiang family patriarch narrowed his eyes. A mere girl actually has a sacred beast in her hands. And she even has 3 6th-level origin-breaking pills. As long as this news spreads, there will be many people eyeing her even if we don't go to her door. I want to see how she will deal with those people trying to snatch her away. He looked at the 3 people standing in the hall and said in a deep voice, 300,000 crystal stones, 10,000 year spirit herbs, and 2 saint artifacts are definitely not a small fortune in any family. You didn't even inquire about the other party's background before daring to gamble with these things. All of you are brainless. Patriarch, please calm your anger. We know that we were wrong. Hearing the patriarch's deep voice, they hurriedly knelt down. Humph. Can those things come back if they're wrong? He snorted coldly and stared at them. Go to the punishment hall and receive your punishment. Patriarch. The 3 of them cried out in alarm and raised their heads to look at him at the same time. Patriarch, please show mercy. That person who had entered the disciplinary hall would probably lose half his life if he came out again. This that if I don't teach you a lesson this time, who knows what you'll do next time. The Jiang family patriarch said in a deep voice and stared at them. This punishment is to teach you to think twice before you act. You have to know that we are one of the 8 great families in Four Corner City. If there's even the slightest movement, the other families will keep an eye on us. The families below us will also want to replace us. What you've done outside not only represents you, but also our entire Jiang family. Chapter 2952. You may leave. He waved his sleeves and gestured for the 3 of them to leave. Yes. The 3 of them lowered their eyes and replied. Only then did they stand up and leave. However, their faces were pale. Compared to Jiang Shichang, the Great Elder and Third Master Jiang's expressions were even more unsightly. Their positions in the Jiang clan were not ordinary, but now, the clan head had ordered them to enter the punishment hall. They believed that it wouldn't take long for the entire Jiang clan to know that they, the Great Elder and Third Master Jiang, had been punished to enter the punishment hall. Such a thing was a disgrace to them. After the 3 of them left, an old man walked out from the shadows. He looked at the Jiang family head and sighed. He asked, Family head, by sending the Great Elder and Third Master to the disciplinary hall, will it be too much? The Jiang family head turned to look at him and said, You think it's too much? He stood up with his hands behind his back and looked outside deeply. He said, How many people are eyeing the Jiang family? How many people want to overthrow our Jiang family? Compared to the other families, our Jiang family doesn't have any reliable family powerhouses. We can only rely on ourselves to maintain our status. If we don't be careful, how can the Jiang family stand tall in Four Corner City? He sighed softly. The Great Elder and Third Master are too arrogant. They haven't suffered any losses all these years. Now, it's good to use this incident as a warning to them. He paused and turned to the old man. Take 2 bottles of medicine and give them to them later. Let them recuperate well. Yes. The old man replied respectfully. He then asked, Family head, those people. We can't touch those people for the time being. He said in a deep voice. He looked outside and said, If we touch those people without knowing their background, who knows what will happen? The Great Elder and the others are right in front of us. We have to think twice before we act. Now that the news has spread in Four Corner City, we just have to wait and see. Family head is wise. The old man said with a smile. Then, he said, Then I'll take my leave. He bowed and left. Yuan family head, is it the family that just moved in? The Yuan family head was slightly surprised. I just heard that someone moved into that house. I didn't expect such people to come. Who are they? Did you find out? Yuan he paused for a moment and then said, I couldn't find out where they came from, but I just received a letter from my second brother. He said that the competition between the 4 great immortal sects was interrupted a few days ago. 2 people came down from the immortal ascension stairs, but he said that they were 2 men. Listening to his description, I felt that they were very similar to the 2 people I saw today. The Four Immortals Sect's annual competition. And the Immortal Ascension Stairs. Clan leader Yuan was deep in thought. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. The Immortal Ascension Ladder connects to other immortal cultivation continents. Only those who have reached the Immortal Emperor realm are qualified to climb the Immortal Ascension Ladder. Does this mean that these two have already reached the Immortal Emperor realm? He was slightly surprised. After all, even on their side, an Immortal Emperor was considered an extremely powerful expert. They knew very well that although the place the Stairway of Immortality led to was called the Lower Realm, there were many powerful cultivators with astonishing strength and talent. Yuan He's expression was strange. He wanted to speak, but he didn't know where to start. Chapter 2953. Second brother said that their sect's Venerable CK and Venerable Muaxian now have two more masters, he said with a strange expression. He paused, then continued, and it's those two people. You're saying that the two people who came down from the Immortal Ascension Stairs have become Venerable CK and Venerable Muaxian's masters? Yuan Clan's head stood up in shock, his voice rising slightly. Those two are peak heavenly gods. How could? Yuan he said with a complicated expression. It said that when they came down from the Immortal Ascension Stairs, many venerables fought to take them as their disciples. Venerable CK and Venerable Muaxian were no exception. However, when they fought, Venerable CK and Venerable Muaxian lost, so they took them as their masters. Hiss. Yuan Clan's head sucked in a breath of cold air. Lost. Those two are the strongest venerables in the Immortal Sect, but they lost to two people who came down from the Immortal Ascension Stairs. And because of that, they took them as their masters? Is this news true? Second brother's news shouldn't be wrong, Yuan he said. Second brother also mentioned that the red-robed one is called Fingzhou, the black-robed one is called Xianyuan Mose, and Fingzhou is a pill venerable. He said that if we meet them, we must try to befriend them. Hearing this, Yuan Clan's head's expression became serious. Two venerables who could defeat peak heavenly gods, a sacred beast, and the masters of two peak heavenly gods from the Immortal Sect. Moreover, one of them was an extremely rare pill venerable. No matter which one of these names was put out, it would definitely shock the entire Four Corner City. However, even if they wanted to befriend such people, they probably wouldn't be able to, right? It won't be long before the disciples of the Immortal Sect send this news back to their respective clans. At that time, all the great clans will know about it. He paced back and forth in the hall with his hands clasped behind his back. After thinking for a while, he raised his voice and called out to the outside, "Go, call the elders and the heads of the various branches over. I have something to discuss with them." Yes. The butler outside answered and left quickly. What does father plan to do? Yuan he asked. What else can we do? Of course, we have to try to make friends with them. Even if we can't make friends with them, we can't have bad relations with them. When we go back, we have to tell the family not to offend them. Yuan he remained silent and didn't say anything else. Instead, he sat down at the side. He thought of that beautiful woman in red. So her name was Fingzhou. The next day Xianyuan Mose entered the Immortals' cave at the back of the mountain to cultivate in seclusion. Fingzhou began to refine medicinal pills. The matters in the Immortals' cave were left to Lang Hua and the others to handle. However, early in the morning, people came to visit one after another. Looking at the gifts piled up in the hall, Du Fan waved his fan and smiled. So many gifts. I wonder what master will do when he comes out. Luo Yu picked up a gift and looked at it, saying, these people are really strange. I already told them that they won't see guests and won't accept gifts. They actually put these precious things in front of the door and left. They really are rich people. Lang Hua looked at those things and said, let's put these things in the storeroom first. We'll make arrangements after master comes out. Chapter 2954. Someone else is probably here. Du Fan smiled and looked outside. I'll go take a look, Lang Hua said and walked forward. When he came to the front door and saw through the small hole in the door that the person outside was Yuan He, Lang Hua paused for a moment. Yuan He was the young master of the Yuan family in Four Square City. Yesterday, in Sky City, the attitude he showed towards their master also made the Yama Lord very unhappy. He didn't expect that he would also come today. The people in this city were really not easy to deal with. They actually found out about their backgrounds so quickly. After their master came here, he was so high profile and took in 2 venerables from the immortal sect as his disciples. Even if he wanted to keep a low profile, he couldn't. What's more, sometimes, if people were too low profile, they would only be ignored and suppressed. Their master and the Yama Lord had the strength to be high profile, so naturally, they didn't have to blindly keep a low profile. Opening the door, he looked at Yuan He and asked in a gentle voice, "Young Master Yuan, are you here for something?" Yuan He saw that it was this gentleman again, so he said, "On the orders of my father, I came to pay a visit to your master. I wonder if I can meet him." "I'm really sorry, my master has ordered that the door is closed," Lang Hua said in a gentle voice, standing by the slightly open door and looking at him. Hearing this, Yuan He didn't seem surprised, and said, "In that case, please pass on this small gift." He motioned for one of the attendants behind him to deliver the gift. Seeing this, Lang Hua smiled, "I will definitely report to my master." At the same time, he took those things. "Farewell." Yuan He cupped his hands and didn't stay any longer, turning around and leaving. After Lang Hua closed the door, he carried the things inside and put them in the storeroom first, then went to the front to find them. At this time, he saw Du Fan and Luo Yu patting their sleeves and walking over from the backyard. When he saw the 2 of them, Lang Hua asked, "Someone broke into the mansion again?" "Yes, 2 more people who aren't afraid of death came. This is already the 5th group since last night," Du Fan said, waving his fan. "These people know that they can't enter, but they still want to break in. Tell me, if they don't want to live too long, what are they doing? The mansion has layers of defense, and you and Master work together to set up formations and barriers. How can ordinary people break in? However, at most, there will only be people coming over these few days. After a few days, there shouldn't be any more. I haven't heard of any powerful ferocious beasts in Sifang City. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring back 2. Luo Yu said, putting his arm around Du Fan's shoulder, let's go have a drink. Lang Hua, do you want to join us? Lang Hua shook his head, I won't. I still have to go to the kitchen and take a look at my sister. You guys go ahead. All right. The 2 of them agreed and left first. Lang Hua then went to the kitchen and took a look around. Then he went to his sister's courtyard and saw her teaching the little master to walk. He called out, Sister. Lang Hua looked up, her beautiful eyes filled with a gentle light. Are you done with the things in front? Chapter 29:55. Master and the Yama Lord are in closed-door cultivation, while the other is refining pills. You have to keep an eye on the mansion, especially the people who came to give gifts, as well as the news from outside. You have to get people to secretly inquire about it. Only then will you not disappoint Master's high hopes for you. Her voice was gentle as she reminded him. She was also very happy to see her brother's growth in the past few years. Sister, don't worry. I know. Lang Hua replied with a warm smile. He knew better than anyone that they were able to achieve what they had today because they followed a good master. In order to be able to stay by Master's side, he worked harder than anyone else in everything. He was more attentive than anyone else. He would arrange everything that Master needed to do in advance. He would also take care of the trivial matters in the mansion so that Master would have no worries. He knew that it was because of this that the two of them were chosen by Master out of so many people. Sister, I heard that other than the 4 major immortal sects, there are 2 other 4 major sects that are also very strong. Master plans to let Qingqing find a good place to cultivate. I will organize the information in the next few days and hand it to Master. I estimate that Qingqing will have a higher chance of going to the 4 major sects. Then you should investigate thoroughly these few days. When Mistress is done refining the pills, give her the information and let her make the decision. Ling Shuang said slowly, and then said, Go and do your work. I will coax little Master to sleep here, and then I will go and cultivate. Okay. Leng Hua stood up and left after hearing this. In the evening, when a strong medicinal fragrance filled the air in the mansion's alchemy courtyard, the servants in the mansion couldn't help but take a deep breath and look at the inner courtyard in surprise. There was unconcealable curiosity in their eyes. After they were bought back by their masters, only a few of them were allowed to enter the inner courtyard. However, they also had to follow the rules and didn't dare to overstep the boundaries. They only knew that the Fu was very big and the people in the Fu, regardless of whether they were men or women, were exceptionally outstanding and mysterious, especially the 2 masters. When the servants who were cleaning the outer courtyard smelled the medicinal fragrance from the inner courtyard, they couldn't help but be curious. What was going on inside? How could there be such a strong medicinal fragrance? Du Fan and the others smelled the medicinal fragrance and knew that their master had probably produced another pill. They couldn't help but smile at each other and continue drinking and chatting. Outside the mansion, a middle-aged man and an old man came to the door. Just as they were about to knock on the door, they smelled a faint medicinal fragrance coming from inside. The 2 of them stopped in their tracks, their eyes filled with surprise. Is this pill fragrance? Such a rich pill fragrance. This is. Could it be that he is refining pills? The 2 of them looked at each other in shock. They paused for a moment and then went to knock on the door. It was still Lang Hua who came out. He glanced at the 2 people outside through the small hole in the door, then opened the door. He looked at the 2 people standing outside and smiled. Is there something you 2 need? Sure enough, it was the pill fragrance coming from inside. The 2 of them took a deep breath. Smelling the pill fragrance, they felt refreshed. What kind of pill was this? For a moment, the 2 of them stood in front of the door and looked inside, somewhat distracted. What's the matter? Lang Hua asked gently.